Welcome to video 5 where we'll finally start working on the AI side. Now for the AI, we are gonna have the great sword to begin with. We're gonna start with the great sword. So just like we did with the previous video, I'm gonna cover its animation blueprint first. You're gonna have the animation blueprint as well. Just make sure that everything is hooked here like it should be. So in the default one, we have this one from Protector. In the combat pose, we have this. Simple 2D. On the strafing, we have this. You want to strafe any faster than 150, so it won't matter. You don't have to continue the rest. So if you have these set up, you can work with the greatsword. So for greatsword, on his class defaults, you're gonna see that his animation blueprint exists. Open that, and you'll have the states available as well as all these. You don't have to do anything for them. The attributes are also set like this. You don't have to worry about these. For the attack animations, we have this one is on equip. Very exact same as the player, no changes. For turning, 180 degrees left, 180 degrees right. This one will be left 90 and 90 to the right. So unequip, the same as ever. I forgot to add the unequip socket, unequip notify here, so you can totally skip this. For normal death, we have this. Of course, a loop at the end. Otherwise, back to snapping. For return post, that's something you can use if you do want to make the AI return to a place or to a point if it's beyond a certain threshold from the place where he spotted you from. Now the place where this can be set up is from the return to post state, which is something that can be used on the following section. Now if you go to following, and I think I'm using a custom one for greatsword, yes. Let's go to the plugin and I can show you that. State enemy following. Now for following state, you can see that we have a return to post state. It's not something you can set from here. So the return to post is being set up from this point. So I'm trying to get the return to post state that exists on the data asset. If it does find it, it will be here. If the calculations, process calculations is a function that runs on tick. So you can see it running on tick. If you do open it up, I'm checking if return to post can be performed, and these conditions are something you're gonna have to set up on the return to post state itself, or the ability within the return to post state. So that is something you need to do. If the condition is met, it will perform it, and so on. You can design what you want the AI to do if that thing happens. So any ability that you will be using, make sure you include it in the data asset, even though it's not using any animation. Just keep it there, so the getters can actually find the ability as well as its state. So make sure the ability is there as well as the state that is associated with it. So both of them. So return to post has nothing. You have close range attack, or using this animation. Instead of rotating to the targeted actor, I'm using the rotate to target of the enemy. So we have this one and we have rotate to targeted actor. This is for the player. Do not confuse this with the AI. So ANS rotate to targeted actor is the one for the player. Enemy rotate to target is for the enemy. You also have one other rotation, which is the rotate to input direction. If there is no target, if you have this animation, if you have this notify state, it will attempt to rotate the player, not the AI, the player to the input direction that he has. So if you click left mouse button and within that animation you click A and W, it will attempt to rotate the player 45 degrees between the right and the forward direction. That's something to keep in mind. Attack 1, attack 4, attack 5 with the greatsword. Reposition is when he jumps to the right or left. These are custom made, so make sure you take any animation that looks like this. At the end of them, I'm trying to either leap or distance closure ability. Now for leap, that's something I want to show you. For leap, I'm using two animations. The leap in place montage, which is this one, that's in place. So make sure it's in place. And I have these curves associated with it. Let me show you. So these curves will determine how smooth the jump will look like. If you don't have these curves, you're gonna have to add them. So these how they look like. Once you have the curves in here, we have all these notifiers to worry about. I'm gonna explain. So these are sounds associated with visual effects, so you don't have to worry about these. What you need to worry about is this one, enemy leap attack property. Make sure it's timed whenever he's about to jump. Then we're gonna have the modify combat status. I'm making him invincible whenever he's attempting to jump. So this way you won't hit him with anything. We have this trace of this type. And at the end I have this trace, which is the leap of a leap power of 100, the damage it will deal, and the type of a trace, which in this case would be the AOE front. Now, when he lands, I'm gonna trigger the root motion animation. This one will simply go to pick this animation up, which at this animation, at this point, we're gonna return the invincibility back to false, which is remove, and simply end the current active ability. Now, if you take a look at the leap, it's full of math that will take the curves from the animation, and based on that, it change the way it's working, so that way we can move as high as we want or modify it in a way that you seem or you deem acceptable. It depends on the animation and how you wanna achieve that. So this is how you do it, and this is the math behind it. I'll leave the math to your imagination. This is gonna be extremely hard to explain, so make sure you take a read at this. It's gonna be of a great help. Now, if you go to back to here, that's for dash. Dash right and left look identically the same, except the direction is different. Now, I did not cover distance closure, so let me cover that. This one will use this animation at the end of the charge attack, which again will fire this secondary attack at a certain point. If you're too close or you're too far, it will perform something. So that's for reposition. For the reposted is when you hit his poise below 0 and you try to attack him. This is the animation that will fire. And reposted death will happen, which if you open this up, reposted death will simply attempt to take the animations from the data asset, which is one that we have here. If he's on his back, it will be this. If you hit him from the back, it will be this. So repost it forward, repost it backward, and the repositions we have here. I'm gonna cover the animation, the abilities that I did not include in the data asset. You can see here I included 11, but they are 22. So the charge attack will have this animation. This is why I did it this way. It's because I wanted to show you that you can do an animation in the data asset, or you can take the animation from the ability itself. So that's something we have in the ability. You have the advantage, but if you're gonna do it that way, make sure the ability that you have is being constructed. So for attack state, I'm taking all the abilities and check them. What this does is, if you have any ability on the right that are recorded here, it will attempt creating them. So if you try to find them by class or by gameplay type, it will find it. Otherwise, what you can do is, if we go to hit, let me show you that. So for hit state, I have this loop. So on loop, On every hit reaction ability that I have, loop it and get the ability of a class. If it's not found, construct it. By constructing this, if you try to get it, it will return the value of it. But so if there is something here again, I'm gonna repeat this. If you're gonna use the ability from, sorry, the montage from the ability and not include it here, you can either include the ability without the montage right here and don't take the montage from the data asset. Rather, construct it or check for it. If you do check for it at least once, it will attempt to create it and therefore you can find it. That's just something to keep in mind for. Let's go back to the charge attack ability. So the charge, we have this animation. At the end of the charge, it will attempt to run this, which is the animation I showed you, which is this one. Now, if you return to stance hit broken, we have this montage with it. When his poise hits 0, this is what happens. Of course, prone to riposte at this point, so you can stab him. That is also something with the player that I forgot to mention. If you do get into this pose, you should be prone to riposte. The clash, that's just something for the demo overview. You're not gonna have this. This is custom made. Close attacking, we covered this. We covered this one. The rares, this is custom made. After, other than the rare, we have this one, which will ragdoll if it hits. Let me close all these because it's getting really big. So we have this for rare, mid-range, attack 11. For the others, close range, third attack, second combo. You can have any amount of combos. That's the power of abilities. If a certain combo is running and another, you want to run another combo at another time, you can do that. Just make sure that abilities and states do interact with each other. You have all the files I'm showing you right now. The only thing you won't have set up is the animation, so make sure you take a read at all the files that I gave you. This is the combo finishers that we have. For this one, we have this animation as well as this animation. For the fourth, we have this one. For the secondary second combo, we have this. This one we covered. High range attacks, we have these. I bet you guys like this the most. The leap, the normal leap, it's not the leap that I showed you earlier. And this animation. For high range, secondary, we will do this one. So there is two high ranges. This leap I showed you, the IK one, this is what happens when you hit the AI and he just twitches, no physical animation. This is how it's set up. And that's something I wanted to show you as well. Now, active abilities, which is the parent version of a start ability, will attempt to be called if any ability gets called. So if you have it this way, if you have it this way, it will set it to be the active ability. I don't want the active ability to be happening for the IK part because it's not a physical one. So what I'm doing is I'm setting this to be a passive one. So the passive ones can fire without replacing the older abilities. So you just keep that in mind. So for example, if he does try to attack you and you hit him, his body will twitch, but his animation will not be replaced with another animation. That's how passive abilities can be helpful. Knock it, I think we have that set up here, this way. And then large, we have this. This is for normal. Hit forward, right, left, back. The reposition we covered and the reposted death we covered. So that's it for the great sword. In the next video we're gonna start with Maria. So see you in the next one.